So this past Sunday, we had the first match of Arena of Honor be released, and this gameplay that is being shown is in the very first time slot of that, so this is at midnight GMT, where no one had any idea whatsoever of how the game mode actually worked, and over the day, as people got more experience with it, the way the game mode is meant to be played started getting fleshed out a little bit more, and I think now going into future matches, we're in a much better spot when it comes to knowing what to actually do in this event, because it is a very different event to others that we have in game. The way I have described it is using Alliance Conquest style combat, which is quite often very solo heavy and boot reliant, but then it's set on a bit of a condensed all-out war style map, and it also has elements of other events such as the narrow sea buff dynamics as well with the altar system. So they've picked parts of many different events within the game and then merged them together for this. And this does seem like it's going to become a staple of the game at this point. It's listed as being a weekly event. It seems to be every week on Sunday. And we're going to be upgrading the new support dragon through this, the glory dragon, as well as the fame ranks giving passive troop-based defense as well. So the rewards attached to that are actually very significant, especially that base defense, in my opinion, compared to stuff like Siege of Winterfell. The rewards there are very, very high value in comparison. When it comes to setting up for the event, pretty much every buff applies, including army size increases, except further Dungeon Lord Hall of Faces, and I believe Sept of the 7 attack buff as well. So you will want to full buff for this. There is a 3 mil troop limit though. It's not real troop loss, but it will use your own troops. And that troop limit will be something you're going to have to play around, because you'll be put into 6 factions of between 5 and 10 players. And as I said, it does follow Alliance Conquest style combat, which means there will be rallying situations where you lead rallies for your other members of your faction, or you reinforce others in your faction as well. So if you're making pre-made teams, you may want to share unit types just so you can reinforce each other easily, and potentially at least not spread yourself across 3 unit types, just because reinforcing and buffing 3 unit types can be a bit harder. Maybe if you're talking max accounts, it's a lot easier to spread across the unit types for the likes of red total badges now, but for the average player, I would advise sticking to probably as few troop types as possible so you can min-max them as much as you can. On the same note, if you are bringing in either full mono troops, so you just bring 3 mil of one troop type, maybe you split 1.5 mil of 2 troop types, you will want, I think, 2 or 3 presets ready-made going in that you can fire away with one click without having to fiddle whatsoever, because there are so many buildings in this event that you will have to capture and defend, and being efficient with your time will be very, very important, so I would advise making presets to account for that. The buildings themselves, they'll open in waves, so they're time-gated with 5 minutes between each zone, and they'll gradually have more and more open as the match goes on. First, you'll only have Strongholds, and my initial impressions, at least, is that you will mostly want to stick to offensive and defensive camps and ignore raiding posts, particularly offensive camps. The offensive camps will send NPC troops to your clan castle's offensive rallies, which will by default attack the clan castle that is counterclockwise to your own faction. And on that same note, the defensive camps will send NPC troops to your clan castle's defense, and you'll have to be constantly defending against the offensive rallies from NPCs to the clan castle that is clockwise to you. There will also be, as the game goes on, attacks from the City of Glory as well. It's fairly situational which of these is best. If you're in a very dominant map state and you can afford to be really offensive, obviously you can just go all out with that. But if the faction clockwise to you is really strong and they're going to be hammering your clan castle, it is the number one priority to maintain that clan castle throughout the match, because it's a very point heavy building with 200 points per minute. And also, you need to be holding your clan castle to be able to attack your mine when that opens, which is the highest point building, directly at least, in the game mode. So I'd say balance it as much as you need to make sure you keep your clan castle. But past that, just focus on offense. After that point, the altars will start opening up, and they will give buffs similar to how buffs are given in Narrow Sea, where there's a certain number of buffs in the loot pool, and they have, I believe, 4 levels to them, which you can rank up to max. So, for example, you can get infantry attack, which will start at 75%, then it will go to 150%, then 250%, and then 500%. And that will be passively applied to everyone in your faction, and I believe your NPCs too. And in this first 10-15 minutes, you will want to be snowballing your buffs as hard as possible to be able to give you an advantage throughout the rest of the match, and this is where the event becomes very demanding on boots. If this is a weekly affair, especially in the high level matches, the amount of boots that are going to be burned through this will be ridiculous, honestly, because going to and from altars, considering the amount of them that there are, is going to be incredibly demanding. I think running March speed gear is going to become quite meta just to reduce the demands of boots, because long term it's not going to be sustainable whatsoever. You can buy some event specific boots and bugles and stuff like that, but it's not that cheap. With the buffs though, you're obviously going to want to prioritize and take what is most relevant to your own faction. So if you have a lot of infantry players, if your main rally lead you want to be sticking in the high value buildings is infantry, then you're going to want to be prioritizing infantry attack, total health, and things like bow attack will be very low value. So when you have those choices in the altars, prioritize those buffs that will benefit you the most. As time goes on, you'll then have Sept buildings unlock, which are similar to Hot Springs or Tower of the Mother, Temple of the Mother even, which will increase your healing speed by 100% for your faction, but won't stack if you take other faction sets, so you'll only need one. It is a relatively high points per minute building though. You'll also have Dragonpits and Mercenary camps unlock. Dragonpits will cause your clan castles to have dragons present in their attacks, and Mercenary camps will cause them to have March skins equipped. And if you're holding multiple of these, you can interact with your clan castle and toggle between the multiple dragons and March skins for what you want. Something to note is that after the NPCs that are initially defending all these buildings in this game mode first die, they do not respawn. So if you have the boots to burn, you can snag things like altars and put a lot of pressure on enemy factions through that. You will, however, have to, of course, sit and occupy the building for the designated amount of time to actually capture the building. I think as players get used to this event, that will become very popular, with low troop pressure being applied onto unoccupied buildings. And then as we get to the middle of the match, the 2 most significant sets of buildings will open. At 25 minutes, you have the City of Glory open, and at 30 minutes, the mines will open. So City of Glory, this is the big city in the middle. You will have to hold it for 4 minutes straight, and it'll be like holding a castle in Alliance Conquest. So you'll have to get your strongest rally lead in there ideally, reinforce them with the troops that their formation requires, and then end off attacks until it's captured. So you can just solo into this and then reinforce the person that takes it, but I think this is predominantly where rally combat will come into play, and buying the event-specific bugles with diamonds might become quite common, because obviously if another faction has a strong rally lead in there with full reinforcements, you're not going to be able to solo them out. and you're gonna have to get filled rallies over there as quickly as you possibly can. When this is captured, this will start to snowball your points hugely, and I'd imagine in pretty much every scenario, the faction that holds City of Glory, if they hold it consistently, will be the faction that wins the map, because whilst you hold it, you get 20% of all other factions' points. So taxing that amount of points is such a huge swing that nothing else can really compete with. You will also then, when in ownership of City of Glory, benefit from the NPC rallies that are sent from it, because if those NPC rallies start taking enemy trading posts, offensive camps, defensive camps, they will then become yours, and you'll then start gaining the points from them, and of course, gaining the NPC troops from them as well. So the snowball of City of Glory is huge. If you're looking to win and finish first, you will have to compete for that as hard as you can. The other main swing factor are the mines. So the mines, just like AC, have huge amounts of points in them. There is 16,000 points in each mine, and you can only attack the mine if you're currently in ownership of the neighboring clan castle. So this is why keeping hold of your own clan castle is so important, because there's so many points attached to holding it later in the match. But also, if your offensive rallies from your own clan castle take ownership of other clan castles and you then hold them, you can then, probably most important of all in my opinion, around this time, take their mine points. If they then take their clan castle back and they start building back up, it is what it is, but if you use that pressure to steal their mine points, that is going to give you such a huge lead that is really, really hard to compete with. And holding someone else's clan castle, similar to holding the City of Glory, will cause you to get 20% of that clan's, or that faction's points as well. So it's a smaller tax effect, just like there is in the City of Glory. And all of that is going to be quite heavily coming from the pressure of your NPC rallies of your clan castle, which are going to be buffing up with your strongholds that you're getting right at the start of the match. You're going to be buffing up with your altars. You're going to be getting buffs from in that first 5-10 minutes as well. And all these high point generating things you can do later in the match all start with that foundation that you're setting with your strongholds and with your altars. With the strongholds, is another thing to mention is you can upgrade them. So they'll start level 1 and you can go to level 2 and 3. Off memory, level 1 and 2 were giving tier 4 troops, and then the jump to level 3 jumps that to T5 troops, at least on the map I was on. I don't know if that's consistent for everyone, but that does mean that leveling your camps to level 3 and then defending them so that you retain ownership of them and you keep those NPCs being sent to your own attacks and defenses is very, very important. Grading them will be as simple as just having troops in that building until they hit level 3, and the more troops you have in there will increase the speed of upgrade. So just don't be throwing 100k into them and just leaving them. There is a lot of value in leveling them as fast as you can. It's a very complicated event. This is not a fleshed out guide in any way. I've just received so many messages in the past few days of where's the video on Arena of Honor, because there is no proper guide content out there for it. Yeah, I imagine other content creators are quite intimidated by it, just as I have been, honestly, to put out information about it, because it is so new. There's still so many things that we need to learn about and understand. But this is all the general information I have of it to date. The main conclusion will be build up your offensive and defensive camps on your strongholds, back up as many relevant buffs as you can and as early as you can so you can snowball them. You're going to want to be deliberately using your strongest rally lead with their Lord Marches on the high priority buildings that will be getting attacked. And your main priorities are going to want to be retaining ownership of your own clan castle, buffing up your own clan castle's NPC rallies as much as you can, and then trying to get points from the City of Glory, the mines, and holding other factions' clan castles as much as you can. They will be your biggest point sources. And if you finish anywhere in even the top 3, you will be gaining fame points, so you don't even have to win your map. You just have to rank as high as possible. So if you play smart and just keep chipping away and min-maxing your points, even if you're out-whaled on your map, so say one faction has like 2 max accounts, and you're just absolutely screwed against them, okay, that's fine. You can still try and rank second, third, and as long as your fame points are increasing long term, that's still a win.